Plan esperido. Another puissant regime that has to be toppled.
Initiée en 2006 par le studio suédois Avalanche, la série Just Cause reposait sur deux principes de jeu très simples. Proposer une map immense et un gameplay explosif porté sur l'action. Résultat, le pari fut à moitié tenu par les équipes d'Avalanche. Si l'étendue de l'aire de jeu était impressionnante et la densité de l'action au rendez-vous, Just Cause souffrait d'une somme conséquente d'approximation. Soucis de maniabilité, objectifs de mission redondants, décors peu variés, un manque de finition qui aura finalement coûté au jeu une meilleure réputation. Qu'importe, Avalanche a de suite enchaîné avec le développement du deuxième épisode. Un peu plus de 3 ans plus tard, voici donc Just Cause 2. Un titre qui bénéficie de l'expérience du studio, qui a beaucoup appris de ses erreurs sur le premier épisode, sorti très tôt dans le cycle de vie de la 360.
The first game was developed in parallel to the engine, and of course that engine was primarily designed for last generation consoles. So this time around we really had the freedom of working with this current generation of consoles in mind. So what we ended up doing is basically redoing the whole engine. I think there are some, terrain rendering and maybe some streaming technology still remaining from the first game, but apart from that, we redone everything. And that's true for the content as well. We redone everything. And I think as as designers, we learned a lot of how to design a game in this huge game world that we have. So we learn a lot of lessons from that. So to make sure that the game world is filled with stuff for you to do and give the player a lot more freedom to sort of work out his own way through the game. Because otherwise it just becomes like a normal game and more transportation between the missions. So that's something that we wanted to avoid this time around.
La première décision audacieuse du studio suédois fut de conserver le héros du premier épisode, Rico Rodriguez.
Est-ce que quelqu'un a un problème avec l'oncle Sam?
Critiqué pour son évident manque de charisme, le personnage est pourtant de retour dans ses nouvelles aventures. Son profil a toutefois été modifié pour répondre aux critiques.
We wanted to keep him, but we also wanted him to change a little bit, because in the first game he sort of looked a bit like a secret agent, and that's not really what he's about. So we want him to have a more rugged look this time around, to sort of reflect that he's really not a stealthy secret agent, because he's more loud and tends to destroy stuff wherever he goes. So we wanted his sort of appearance to reflect that a little bit.
L'un des principaux défauts du premier épisode tenait à son apparence visuelle peu en accord avec la puissance de la 360. Et pour cause, le jeu ayant principalement été développé pour la génération de consoles précédentes. Just Cause 2 bénéficie donc d'un tout autre moteur de jeu, qui a ouvert de nombreuses possibilités aux développeurs.
Yeah, I mean the engine is really cool. It actually started off with like just the ideas of two brothers that actually were involved in founding Avalanche Studios. So it's based on sort of procedurally generating this game world, but it uses the same algorithms all the time, so it actually looks exactly the same all the time, so we can be in complete control exactly how it looks, but we don't have to place each individual tree in the game world. So that allows us to sort of make really big game worlds. And we constantly develop our engine, of course. So from the first game, we now added several different climate zones. So there's a lot more variety in the game world. We have Arctic climate zones, desert, jungles, beaches, even metropolitan climate zones. And of course, you can move between them without any interruption for loading. And that gives a really nice and liberating feeling to the player. So there are no limits to where you can go at any time, and there's no loading, so you can just grab a plane and fly from one end of the world to the other. I think it's really important for each game in this genre to really sort of find its own atmosphere, to find its own flavor and identity. And with Just Cause 2, I think we're a lot more playful. We're focusing a lot on the fun aspect of the game, not really too fussed about the realism. And I think that's important, because I think we really try to inject a good sense of fun into the genre, and I think that's sort of well needed in a way. So that's, I think, where we have found our identity. So it's a little bit insane, but it gives you a lot more freedom as a player to play around.
Évidemment, développer une aire de jeu aussi grande implique certains sacrifices. Cela concerne notamment le multijoueur qui a été abandonné.
When you finish a game, there's always stuff like that. We have, of course, I guess the most obvious one is multiplayer that we sort of ditched quite early on, that we just felt that it was more important to really focus on the core single-player experience because we needed to get that the best that we could do. Because if we don't have that, then there's no really use to build. We have nothing to build on for the multiplayer game. So I guess that was probably the most important thing that we... But of course, there's a lot of small details that you just can't put in there. And I think one of the cool thing about the sort of franchise, the Just Cause franchise, is that it gives us a lot of freedom to come up with a bunch of really fun and sort of insane ideas that we can use in the game. So we have a long list of stuff that just waiting to be done.
De manière assez étonnante, Just Cause 2 s'est distingué avant sa sortie par le fait que la version PC ne supporte pas Windows XP. Un choix qui a interpellé voire scandalisé certains joueurs, mais qui trouve bien évidemment une explication.
To be honest, I wasn't involved in that decision, but it was really, so I'm not entirely sure, but the engine that we have is really taking advantage of a lot of the stuff that we, that simply isn't available on the XP, so on that dark greedy version, so it's, that's probably the most important reason why that decision was made.
Après avoir laissé la parole aux développeurs, il est temps de voir avec la critique si, comme Peter Johansson le laisse entendre, Avalanche a retenu les leçons du passé.